Hello, Internet, and welcome to episode 242, I think, of Verbal Graffiti with your host, Brian Glass, aka the B-Man, the People's Degenerate. Where can the B-Man go to find himself a cold beer? Bottle of Suds, Brew Dog, whatever terminology part of the country you're in, whatever you call your beer. The can, the bottle, 12 ounces, perhaps 16 ounces. And if you're a real go-getter, a man of the people, a person of the night, you like to get after it, you get yourself a tall boy, which is a universal term for the 24-ounce can. Whatever it is you're drinking, IPA, light, Mickey Ultra, when was the last time you actually went to a bar, a public a restaurant, a place that sells alcohol, that has an alcohol license, and you've bought a beer, and it was actually frigid, where that first sip, it hit, wow, ooh, that cooled me down. That's what I needed, because I can't find it. And I'm all over the state of Connecticut. I've been to, in the last week, I've been to Old Saybrook, I've been to West Hartford, I've been to Middletown, I've been to New Haven. Going back further, I've been to Yankee Stadium. I've been to sports stadiums. They got the tall boys there, you drink them there. I can't remember the last time I've gotten an actual cold beer, and it's weighed on me. Because nobody seems to be critical of their beer not being cold as it should be. And I don't know why this is the case. Because when you order a beer, you're not asking for much, especially if it's not an IPA. And I should preface this by saying, I drink my beer out of a can or a bottle when I'm out drinking. And I usually don't drink when I go out because I drive. That's what you do as a stand-up comedian. You drive to all these venues. So I'm trying not to drink and drive. I'm trying to be responsible. And when I drink, I like to get intoxicated. So to do one and not get the payoff, I don't like to do that. That doesn't seem symbiotic to me. I feel like I lost out. To have a beer, and I need more than one beer, even as a skinny, noodly armed, chicken leg kind of person that I am, I need more than one beer. One Bud Heavy to get me a little buzz, to be feeling good, to be feeling a little sauce, to be a little talkative, a little jolly. You know, when you drink the beer and you get jolly, and you know what getting drunk is. I don't like being drunk, but I like being buzzed. But what I don't like doing is drinking and not getting a buzz. I feel cheated. I feel as though I didn't complete what I started. And I like to finish what it is I start. So so many friends of mine who are comics and friends will go out, we'll do stand-up, and they'll nurse on a beer throughout the evening. Well, that was $9. I'm not going to do that. So I'm just a cheap F, and I won't buy anything. But occasionally, I'll buy a PBR, a Bud Heavy, a Coors Light, Silver Bullet, Heineken, whatever it is. I'll drink a Corona. Yes, I'd like a lime with that. Thank you very much. As you put your, but I'll order just to fit in, to be one of the boys peer pressured into buying the beer. I'm sure this has happened to yourself. I prefer whiskey, but a whiskey neat is now $14 at some of these places, and they give you about this much. So I'm not going to buy that. I'll go with the beer. It's $8. Not thrilled with that price. We've talked about this. Modelo, $8. Get the F out of here. But I'm going to pay it because you can't order a Modelo and then when they give you the little credit card where you sign it and it's $8, like, oh, wait, no, take that back after she's already opened up the can for you. You can't do that. Although I did have a friend. Not a friend. I call her a friend. It was really my sister's friend. Back in the day when I first started going out to bars, in the early 20s. Actually, I might have been under 21. I did have a fake ID for a year. But my sister's 5 or 6 years older than me, depending on the time of the year. So I'd go out with her and some of her girlfriends and guy friends, and there's one of her friends, Kate. I think at the time she was drinking cranberry and vodkas. And if she felt as though there wasn't enough vodka or whatever alcohol in the mixed drink, she would return it to the bar and complain. I've never done that. That's an attractive person's game right there. Right? You need to be of a certain number, like 7, 8, 9, 10, to return your drink to the bartender and complain about the mix of alcohol compared to soda. You can't do that when you're bald. You can't do that as a guy. You have to have a sought after sniz to be able to pull off that move. And I didn't realize that at the time because I was just starting to go to bars. So I saw my sister's friend, Kate, this quite often, dive bars. She would return the drink and be very forceful to the bartender going, hey, there's not enough vodka or tequila or gin or whatever alcohol it was in this drink. I want you to remake it. And almost every time I saw her do that, the bartender would acquiesce to her demand. And she's a very type A, pushy personality. And in these instances, it was beneficial to her, right? This pushiness. And I saw that. Oh, wow, you can do that? But she was the only lady I saw do that. And I never saw a guy do that. So I'm thankful that I didn't try to pull that move. Could you imagine being you or me or a fan of Verbal Graffiti and going to the bar and I don't think there's an ounce of tequila in this tequila and Sprite. Can you remake this drink for me? Yeah, there is a privilege. I don't call it privilege. It's just fortunate. If you're attractive enough, you can pull that move. I can't pull that move. But I think I should be able to, if I order a Coors Light Silver Bullet and I get the can, sorry, I think it's all going back to, all right, let's step back. I'm not an IPA guy. I don't like draft beer or keg beer. It always tasted a little flat to me. It's not as, and when I first started going to bars, I think it was my brother taught me, you always want to have a bottle. In case there's a bar fight, you can crack the bottle and get into the fight and survive because you're a skinny fuck. So you gotta, you're not gonna win with your fist, but a sharp bottle, you might have a fighting chance in that bar fight. So I've always ordered a bottle or a can, and it's more crisp to me. And draft beers give me the shits. If you ever watch Bar Rescue, and I drink mostly at dive bars, so the taps, there's not very clean, health code, it's not tippy top. So to avoid all that, I usually just order a Corona or a PBR if they have it, if it's that type of establishment. But when I order a PBR, now I should expect the beer to be ice cold, especially at the places I drink. I go to these dive bars, these rundown restaurants that have comedy nights on a Wednesday or a Saturday before the DJ comes on at 11 p.m. or a Sunday evening at the pizza joint. I'm going to places where most people are not asking for fancy drinks. Like sex on the beach or a margarita is the fanciest drink that's going to be ordered. And usually the margarita is pre-mixed. It's not a fancy margarita. So these are the type of places, I'm drinking. Most of the guys are drinking a beer or a mixed drink, like tequila and Sprite, rum and Coke, that type of drink. Whereas there's two, you know what I'm getting at. These are not cocktail restaurants. These are not, lounges. These are dive bars where people like to be, man. Fans of Verbal Graffiti. The type of people we congregate at. So I go to this bar. A particular bar, I'll just name out, the Elbow Room, West Hartford, Connecticut. I go there. I'm there quite frequently doing stand-up comedy. The beer is never cold there. It's never cold. I hardly ever buy a beer because of that reason. I mean, the whole, the bar, and I'm not even just calling out the Elbow Room. It's every bar I go to. There's another bar in the same neighborhood as the Elbow Room called the Spigot, which is the diviest dive bar. So you can play Jenga at this bar. And any bar where you can play Jenga can be defined as a dive bar. If someone calls you, we're hanging out at the Spigot, and they have never been there, what type of bar is that? I go, oh, well, they have Jenga here. That's all you have to say. And it's understood what type of bar that is. You don't have to explain anymore. But but when you're at a bar like that, the Spigot that has Jenga, or the Elbow Room, which is just a rundown restaurant, you go to these places where everyone's drinking beer. Like, I should be able to expect my beer to be cold, and it never is. Where it's Yankee Stadium, or a nice neighborhood, a coastal town like Old Saybrook, Connecticut. You go to these bars, and there's nothing disappointing. I guess this is what it's like when you're a babe and you're all horned up and you're getting ready to get fucked. And then the guy can't, he's just a semi-hard. He's got that cocaine dick. He's got a little bit of whiskey dick. Or maybe you're an ugly. Right? And he just can't get it up for you because you're a sub of 5. And he's kind of regretting being there right but in the moment, you can't back out. You're at the front line, so you gotta fight the fight, but your sniz ain't hot enough for him to stay hard, or maybe he's all in his head with the ED, with the porn and all that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that later in this episode. Hey, I guess that's more disappointing when you think you're gonna get fucked, and then you see the dick like not fully stiff, erect. You're like, well, yeah, all right, like this is gonna happen, but it's not gonna be what I wanted to happen. Same thing when I go to a bar. I'm expecting a cold beer because I'm only ordering one because I don't want to drink and drive. So you buy the 1 Coors Light, and then the bartender hands it to you, and you don't even have to take the first sip. You can just feel the can. And it's cold. It's not lukewarm, but it's not cold. And it's infuriating to me. And I'm starting to pick up on this. And a couple of weeks ago, I was at the Elbow Room, and I'm noticing the beer. Actually, no, was I? No, I was at the Spigot in West Hartford drinking a PBR 16-ounce can. I'm a man of the people. I like to stay on the ground level. I'm not a brown noser up in the suites on floor 32. I'm on the ground level. I like to be with the people. I'm a comedian. I got to know what's going on with the local folks. So I'm at the Spigot, and I like PBR. So I'm drinking it, and it's lukewarm. It's not lukewarm. It's not cold. And I'm not, it just doesn't hit. And when you have a beer that's not ice cold, that first sip, it doesn't hit. It just doesn't, it's nothing. It's just, like, I don't even know how to explain it. If you enjoy beer, and that first sip, it's not ice cold, it's like, it's gonna be like this for the next 2 hours. It's going to be 2 hours of drinking not cold beer. Who wants to do that? When I'm there, and I am with another comic, I ask him, hey, is your beer, it's really not that cold? He goes, no, it's not that cold. And then I look around, and there's people from all demographics at this bar, and most of the bars I go to, all different demographics. Nobody really gets after it at the bar anymore, at least the bars I go to. It's a lot of nursing of 1 or 2 drinks throughout the night. I suspect that's because of the price of drinks now and food and in this economy. Are you kidding me? You're going to have 3 Coors Lights? Get out of here. That hacky in this economy joke. But yeah, you go out. You notice all demographics. You have some babes that are dressed up. They're drinking their espresso martinis. You got the boys The Saturday are for the boys, the guys in their early 20s. They all look exactly the same. Bland, white, new hat that they overspent, probably spent $45 for. They're wearing sneakers that are a little bit dirty, and they're dressed like they're dressed. You got a couple businessmen, a couple lawyers dressed up okay. Yeah, cheap fake synthetic leather shoes and khakis. Yeah, they're coming from the office. You got the work crew of middle-aged women, and they're there. You got the married women who are going out for the night without the husbands, without the kids. They're there. You got the 25-year-old floozies all dolled up. It's where, two of them will be dolled up, and then the third one, she'll be wearing a hoodie and looks like she just rolled out of bed. How did these three become friends? I don't know. But they're there together. They're just sipping one drink, praying to God I don't come up and try to chat them up. And I'm respectful. I don't go up and say hi to them because I'm a coward. Right? That's what they don't tell you about the incels. They're cowards. So I'm there, but I'm watching everybody. And I'm not the only one with a lukewarm, or not a cold beer. It feels like a beer that I've held in my hand for 25 minutes and that my body heat has warmed the beer that's inside the can. That's how the beer feels that first sip I take. And I look around, and I know, and every time I've noticed this the last month, nobody, I have yet to see a person return a beer to the bartender and go, this isn't cold. Go get me a cold beer. Yet to see that. And I should do that because that's not a what's the term? Unwarranted? No, that's not a that's something you should expect. And when you don't get the cold beer, you shouldn't feel bad or feel self-conscious about returning the beer. Again, about 42 years I've been drinking, for over 20 of them. I probably started drinking pretty consistently since I was 17. I've never returned a beer to the bar. Never. But my beers used to be cold up until, 2 years ago. But I'm at the point now where I'm actually thinking about bringing my own beer to the bar. I have a beer in the refrigerator all day. I'll put it in a cooler on ice, bring it to the bar. All right, bring my one Coors Light, bring it into the bar. Tell the bartender, hey, I know your beers aren't ice cold here, so I brought my own beer. I'll pay you whatever it costs to buy this beer at your bar. I'll double it and give it to you right now. Right, the bar makes more money because they're not losing the beer, so it's free money for them. That's at the point I'm at. Because I can't tell you how many times I've been at a bar, the Spigot, for instance. And if you go to dive bars, especially around happy hour, you'll see a bar back walk into the bar with a 12-pack. From the local package store. And if you buy a 12-pack or a case of beer at the package store, they're not cold. They're in the freezer, and even though they're cold, they're not ice cold. You got to put them in your refrigerator for a few hours before it's acceptable to drink them. And so when you see them, the bar back or bartender or employee come into the bar with 2 cases of beer that he just bought from down the street, and then he puts them behind the bar and he starts serving them to the customers. It's like you're pissing on us. And we know those beers aren't cold. And now I'm wondering, are they making the freezers in the bars not as cold as they should be to save a little bit of money on electricity? So they're trying to skim a little cost there at the customer's expense, because they know if you're a beer drinker, or you're going to order your beer, even though you know it's not cold, you're still going to order it. But again, because of the peer pressure of all your other fellow drinkers, to get a beer or to get just some some drink so that you can fit in with the crowd. That's at whatever bar you're at. Well, am I the only one noticing this? And honestly, if I was president, this would be my first executive order. Is all beers have to be ice cold, and if they're not, you lose your liquor license. That's why I probably wouldn't stay. I don't know. I don't know. It's funny because you think you do something, you make a proclamation like that. You make it an amendment. The 26th Amendment of the United States of America is that everyone who has a liquor license has to sell their beer ice cold. You would think, or at least I would think, well, you'd get that. I mean, that gets you 25% of the vote right there. And all you got to do is pick off another 15%, because if you get the 40%, you usually win the national election. And that's an easy win. That's an easy policy. Very much similar to, I always used to say when I was in high school or even in middle school, like if I ran for president, the class president, my platform would be, every drinking fountain would have orange soda. And how would you not win an election? Like, that's the only platform you need. I'm basically doing that, but in the adult election, that is the presidential election. And I think that would be an automatic win. But upon reflection right now, so barely any reflection at all, maybe not. Because what was it? Marijuana, right? Marijuana, is that now federally legal? Or at least, I know it's legal in most states. And I think it might not be legal federally, but maybe Trump, it's not as severe as a crime. The penalty is not as severe as it once. Like the greater drug it is, it's no longer with cocaine and heroin. So, and that hasn't helped his approval rating. So maybe just saying that beer has to be ice cold would not help my approval rating in an election, or if I was president. But again, I'm not running for president. I ain't that, like, I'm arrogant. I went on a date last week, and to my amusement, I kept telling this babe that my eyes are beautiful. I must have told her this 10 times throughout the date. I told her my eyes were beautiful so many times that I think my date actually started to believe that I have beautiful eyes. That is the power of confirmation. You just keep telling somebody something over and over again. That's propaganda, right? That's propaganda. I just kept telling her, yeah, my eyes are beautiful. You're lucky to be here. These eyes, how can you not stare at these eyes? I kept talking about how wonderful my eyes are. And then later in the evening, she goes, yeah, you do have nice eyes. My propaganda worked on this date. She hasn't contacted me since, so I don't think that's going to work out. That's a shame. And the beer I drank on our date, Bud Heavies, was not ice cold. Very frustrating that I can't find a cold beer. All right, Yankee Stadium. It's like, to all the bartenders out there, what would you say to the B-man if you gave me a beer? All right, I took a sip. This isn't cold enough. I don't want this anymore. You'd give me the stink eye, right? You might not make me pay for it, but you would definitely tell all the other bartenders, like, hey, watch out for him. He returned a Coors Light. That guy's a cheap fuck. I said, I don't blame the bartender. And that's why I've never returned a beer that is not as cold as I expect it to be. And I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation. And I've just spent almost 25 minutes talking about how I can't find a cold beer anywhere in the United States of America. And I'm quite perturbed about it. All right, moving forward. This next one comes from the subreddit erectile dysfunction. Male, 21. Is it normal to be soft while masturbating? I'm 21 years old, and I've never had sex or been in a relationship. About 3 or 4 years ago, I had strong erections during masturbation. Nice. But now I struggle to get fully hard. I also don't get morning erections anymore. This has been going on for about a year, and it's really worrying me. My biggest fear is that I won't be able to satisfy my future partner. I'm taking a low dose of antidepressants, and I also use a lot of porn, although I used to use it a lot before too. Has anyone experienced something similar, or any advice on what might be going on? I am really concerned. You're I'm concerned for you. You were right to be concerned about your erectile dysfunction, and that's exactly what it is you have. Your erections are all dysfunctional. It might be the antidepressants. I know a lot of antidepressants kind of fuck up your libido or to completely eliminate it. I take an antidepressant called duloxetine, I think is the name of it. 90 milligrams a day, 3 pills a day. It's a generic brand for Cymbalta because my insurance sucks and they won't pay for name brand drugs. So I drink, so I have that. It hasn't affected my libido one bit. I still have a very high libido, 42 years old. I still got morning wood. I hawked my dick loogie last night, was gooning for about a half hour. It was about after 1 a.m. And it was fine. Like, I got to get this out. I got to finish this. I don't want to be all lethargic the next day today. So I hawked my dick loogie on the beach towel. A lot of semen. The zinc vitamin that I'm taking does seem to be helping with how much volume I'm producing when I hawk my dick loogies. So I'm very happy about that. And it was a fantastic... It was one of the best orgasms I've had this year. I got a little dizzy, a little tingles in the head. And maybe it's because I hadn't wanked it in a few days. So, I was just building it up a little bit. I had to get it out. But yeah, it was just a really satisfying orgasm, good volume. I had no problems getting an erection. And I have Cialis, but I didn't use it for this Dagoon session that I did. So I'm 42, and I watch a lot of smut. And I'm taking antidepressants. And so everything you're doing is not affecting me in my morning wood, in my erections. And maybe I'm just a natural. Maybe me, my libido, Mr. Perfect, there's nothing that can stop us. Father time, antidepressants, smut, death grip, gooning, bad diet. I don't lift weights. It doesn't matter. Mr. Perfect, he shows up and he shows out. But you have a problem. But I bring this all around to say, I do have a friend of mine, I'm not going to say his name, who was also taking Cymbalta. We were talking about antidepressants a couple years ago, maybe a few years ago at this point. And I told him I was taking Cymbalta, and he told me, I used to take Cymbalta, but it wrecked my libido, so my psychologist put me on another antidepressant. So I thought, that's interesting. And I just started taking Cymbalta, so I was like, I want to keep my libido, so I'm going to be on the lookout for that. Thankfully for me, the Cymbalta has no effect on my libido, or negatively, that is. So you might want to go to your doctor, psychologist, and just say, hey, I can't get morning wood. I'm 21. I should be getting morning wood. And you should. When I was 21, it took me, I had to will myself to get rid of my morning wood. And when I was 21, I'd wake up in the morning. I couldn't get out of bed for 20 minutes. I would just keep trying to compress my morning wood like Mr. Perfect. Get down. Get down. We got to go to the bathroom. I got roommates. We can't be walking around like this. Come on. Get down. And he wouldn't. He would just stay up forever. And if I got up at 8 a.m., I couldn't get out of bed till 8:30 a.m. because that's how hard and erect my penis would stay up for. So it was a nuisance. It really was. When you're 21, your morning wood should be a nuisance to you. Right? It should be something that comes every morning. And if you have roommates or you live with your family, it should be something that prevents you from getting out of bed right away. And the fact that you don't have morning wood, that should be concerning to you. So go to your doctor, psychologist, whomever, who prescribes you these antidepressants. Say you can't get morning wood. Can we go to a different drug and try that? I don't like you blaming the pornography, the smut, for your own physical inabilities, shortcomings, if you will, because I've been watching smut since I was in the 4th grade, nearly every day. Hardly skip a day without seeing some type of smut, especially since a smartphone came on the scene. I probably have consumed more smut. I mean, I'd say 99%, but it's easily, I've watched more smut in my lifetime than over 99% of the people living today. Easily. And I've had no problems getting erections at all. So it kind of is to blame the smut or the pornography that you're consuming, not being able to get an erection. I think too many people are blaming pornography for their erectile dysfunction. Again, I'm not a doctor, but I am smarter than most doctors. So take what I'm telling you as medical advice. So, plus you're 21, you've consumed pornography in the past. Of course you have. This is 2026. You're a virgin. Don't worry about that, by the way. Don't worry about being a virgin at 21. I lost my V card when I was 20 to this marshmallow of a lady. All right. It was a precarious position for me because I lost my virginity at 20 years old to a marshmallow of a human being. So it put me in that position where I wanted to tell all my friends, like, hey, I'm no longer a virgin. But I knew the follow-up question was going to be, who did you lose the virginity to? And then I was going to have to tell them who it was, and I was going to get made fun of for that. So it was, do I tell my friends or do I not? And of course, I told my friends, and they all, to this day, they bust my balls about losing my virginity to a marshmallow of a human being. But hey, I'm a lover of all body types. All right? But what I'm getting at is, good. Like, don't freak out about being a 21. I'm watching this guy now. He's in his mid-40s. He kind of just gives life advice. He lives in Canada, and he talked about losing his virginity at 28. So when you're in your late teens, early 20s, and a lot of your friends are having sex, getting the poon, getting the sniz, you feel like you're the only one who hasn't, and that there's something wrong for you for not getting that sniz. Don't worry. I mean, worry about it, because how can you not when all your friends are doing it and partaking in the fun and you're on the sidelines? But, you're not, you're not a gremlin just because no babe wants to give you her sniz. What was I getting at? Oh, yeah. Speaking, so I don't blame the pornography. It is amazing. It really is amazing. Magical, perhaps. A wonder, or maybe the eighth wonder of the world, that guys, the Johns out there, were able to get an erection masturbating. At first, it's understandable. You use your hand, right? You're using your hand to masturbate as a guy, as a John, right? You're stroking your shaft. And you're able to keep it hard, hawk your dick loogie. You think after a certain number of times or a certain number of years, you would cease to be able to get an erection or at least keep an erection with your hand stroking with your hand, but you're still able to do so. You think at some point, logically speaking, your brain would realize, wait, that's not a sniz. That's your right hand or your left hand. Like, you fool me once, shame on me. You fool me twice, you're a dumb penis. You think after a certain number of times, like your brain, it would kind of, like, it would work out, and your sensories would say, hey, that's a hand. Don't get hard for that. But the guys, we're so dumb that we're able to convince ourselves for decades that our hand is as good as a sniz. When you really start to think about that, and I really haven't till right now, it is amazing that guys are able to masturbate as frequently as we do and able to trick ourselves into thinking our hand is a sniz. So to be 21, like, maybe you're just smarter than the average John, and your brain is too smart for your own good. And it's like, dude, I'm not getting hard for your hand. Go out there, find a real babe. All right, let's get in the real game. So again, that doesn't really, oddly enough, that doesn't really concern me that you're having trouble getting an erection while trying to masturbate, because like, why are guys able to get an erection when masturbating? It seems like what's happening to you is what should be happening to all of us. But the morning wood is something you should be concerned about, because at 21 years old, you should have like the hardest erections you're ever going to have when you wake up in the morning. Like that's a blessing from God. And for you not to have that is that you absolutely should be going to a urologist to getting this checked out. Now, he or she, the urologist, is going to tell you, get better sleep, exercise, lift heavy weights, have a better diet. And that's basically all you can do. And if that doesn't work, like all that, like, eat better, exercise, sleep, all that jazz, a different antidepressant. Listen, like, not every penis works. Not all of us are blessed with a penis that gets erect. I mean, you got a lemon. Maybe that's what happened to you. You got a lemon. And really, the only solution is to join the priesthood and get into religion. Because no babe is going to want to be in a relationship with a guy with ED, erectile dysfunction, especially at 21 years old. I will say, though, I do like your mindset. So many of the Reddit posts, it says people are so pessimistic about the future and their life and their surroundings and the environment. Not you. And I commend you for that. I tip on my penis to you for your positivity. I really do enjoy that. See, you're 21. You got that big old V card. You're just carrying it around. But you're still thinking, like, I'm going to get rid of this V card. I'm going to get a girlfriend. And I want to solve my ED before I get the girlfriend, so that when I have the girlfriend, I can please her. That's a great mindset to have. That's the positivity. I like that thinking. I like that you're thinking that way. Yeah, I might be a loser now. And you are a loser. Right? 21, you have ED, you have your V card, you've never had a girlfriend, you're a loser. Now. But not in the future. You will get a girlfriend, maybe in the next couple of years. And you're trying to solve the ED now so that when you get the girlfriend, you don't lose her, because you know that you're not good at getting the girlfriends. So once I get one, I can't fuck it up. So I got to understand how to get this solved now. All right? I like that. I like your mindset. And make sure when you do get a girlfriend, you let her know about this. Like, hey, I had ED before I met you, but I got it taken care of, which I do believe you will. All of us here at Verbal Graffiti are rooting for you to get rid of your ED and get back your morning wood that you had 3 or 4 years ago. Because there ain't nothing better. As frustrating as it could be, especially in your early 20s when they don't go away. The morning wood, there's nothing better. There's nothing better. It's why all the babes have penis envy. It's odd. The morning wood is so magical that the babes will not know what it ever feels like, but they envy it. That's how powerful the morning wood is. And you're going to get it back. But when you do get a girlfriend and you're no longer a loser, let her know. Hey, back in the day before I met you, I had this problem. And I got it fixed, not for myself, right? I fixed my ED, not for me, but for you and your pleasure. I was thinking about you before I even met you. I went to a urologist. I fixed my health, my diet, my sleep patterns, my antidepressants. I did all this, not for me, for you. I like that you're not worried about it just for yourself. You're really worried about this condition you have for your future love. You're a lover, much like the B-Man. I like that. I like that a lot. So I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. To all you out there with the ED, and I'll admit, there have been times the last few years where my dick doesn't get as hard as Mr. Perfect used to. And that's why I always make sure to have a little bit of Cialis on me, just in case. So, 21-year-old, your future girlfriend, wife, mother of your children, right now, she's out there and she doesn't know how lucky she is. And to her, go suck a fat one.